Hi, everybody. It says we're live. I hope we are. It's been that time of day. Welcome to Thinking Out Loud. So it's Friday. Yay, end of the week.
Yes.
Clink,
My
clinkies.
Cheers.
Yeah.
I first want to welcome the Thinkables, our audience. They're the people who keep us going and keep us pumped up to turn out the show every week. So thank you so much for showing up. With me is my wonderful co-host, Katrina. Hi, Katrina.
Hi,
Hello
Katrina.
there. Hello. It's good to be with you ladies on a Friday. Good way to kick it off, I think, for sure.
Yes, it is. I think so too. And also with us is the awesome, the amazing Mia Voss. And Mia juggles all these different entrepreneurs, adventures, but they all have a social community aspect, which I really appreciate. So welcome to our show, Mia.
Hi, ladies. How are you?
We're doing great.
What up?
Yeah, so Mia's been braving some computer problems today, and she's doing it with such grace, and it's lovely. So we're very happy that she's here, and we're excited to dive into passion, purpose, and path. I think that is such a cool way to kind of talk about what really lights up our hearts. So I want to talk to you because, lady, I know you've got some really interesting things cooking, some different thoughts swirling around in there. So why don't you kick off a little bit with your interpretation of like following your passion? I really would love to know more about how you feel about that.
Hey, thanks, ladies. And I'm just, of course, I'm on mobile right now, and I know it's juicing out my phone, so I've got my mobile here. So you two just chat if you lose me, and I'll come back in. Because if you watched my show earlier today, it was a hot mess. I said to you guys in the green room that I feel like Hangouts are a bad boyfriend. Like, I'm just getting praised for putting up with this poor behavior, you know. Crappy boyfriend today. So, but I love this topic. Thank you for asking me on the show on this one. I think it's super important for everybody to plug into it. I think plugging into your passion is for everyone. A lot of times people think it's just for the artistic or the non-corporate, and I don't believe that. I think that everybody can be an entrepreneur with a paycheck. I think they can be an artist with a paycheck. So I think it's for everybody. But I love the idea of storytelling, and I always say that I feel like the advent of the downturn of the economy was a benefit in the way of it really shook a lot of people up to start doing the things that they're passionate about, because they could no longer, for many, they could no longer do the other thing, so it wasn't really an option, right? And then you kind of get forced into like, I'm going to make you to lie down in green pastures, as it says biblically. You know what I mean? I think that's how they meant it, by the way. But I do love the idea of passion and the passion, and then telling your story. And I certainly learned so much about that. I love storytelling. That's why I started my show anyway. But then going to Italy was like just hands down the storytelling capital of the world. Everybody's got this great story and a passion for it.
How does storytelling relate to bringing out your passion or finding your passion's direction?
Good question. I think it could be it could be everything from people talking about something that their grandpa taught them to do as a kid. It's the story of their heritage. Sometimes it could be negative in the sense, and I don't mean negative, but you could have a negative impact as a child that you're like, as God is my witness, I'll never go hungry again, you know, that kind of thing. So I think if you start listening to the path of your stories, the weave of your stories, the things that light you up, when you tell stories about something day to day, let's say, check yourself at the end of the day. Like, what if you came home and told your wife or your husband, what story would you tell them? Is it about being so excited to see a person helping another person? Was it exciting to see a car that ran really well? Was it exciting to see a business that you loved the idea? And that, you know what I mean? Like, you just start paying attention to those things that light you up, that you would want to tell that story to somebody else. Besides a bitchy, gossipy one. That's always kind of funny, too.
Right.
I don't know what you do with that.
Right. Well, for some people too, there's something that they dabble in or they like to do on the side as a hobby. And sometimes they aren't really sure when they want to transition that into a business and saying, hey, I'm actually more passionate about this than I'm letting on or that I'm willing to give myself permission for. So, you have any suggestions for people that are sort of on that line?
Well, here's the thing. Think about what you would tell somebody at a cocktail party. Like, are you talking about the business you can't stand? Are you talking about this cool chair you just made and you're showing pictures on your phone?
Right.
Right. So I think it's about looking for patterns. It really is. I know for myself when I started doing the show, that was a pattern too, is I realized that I just got so excited when I would meet people and they would tell me their cool story. Probably one of the more interesting stories that I heard from a woman. She started, I don't know if this wasn't her story, but it was certainly born out of necessity. She started a business where she came up with backpacks that held the oxygen equipment that she needed for her preemie baby.
Oh, wow.
And when she got out of the hospital, they're like, here you go. And they just got to shove this baby in with all this junk. And she's like, what the hell do I do with this? She didn't, and I think he's maybe 9 or 10 now, but that was her necessity of like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to skillfully handle all this. And so she, came up with this backpack, and then I think it ended up winning like a Huggies award, and
oh, wow.
Oh yeah, I thought she was so inspirational. So then I noticed my pattern is I loved to tell that story. I loved to tell the story of these different women that I ran into and what was their impetus, whether it was a bad divorce or one woman started an pet aromatherapy business. She her dog had been traumatized, but it was also they'd been on the local news because her dog was like a cancer sniffer. So the dog would never lay on the side where her cancer was the whole time she had it.
Wow.
And then the minute she's like, she knew before she even went back to, I love telling people stories. I'm telling people stories. There you go. That she knew when Daisy wanted to lay on that side, like that she was, so just stories like that. I just dig, and I think you can just start paying attention.
Well, this is kind of a follow-up on Katrina's question. When you are, even if you are passionate about making that chair, and that's what you're showing to everybody at the cocktail party, you also have a lot of naysayers who are going, yeah, you can't make a living.
Welcome to my entire world, by the way. My entire adult life has been like, what are you doing now?
I'm sorry. I was just going to say I think it's important to celebrate that too, because then you get back to that clarity about what's right for you. I think there's so many of us that get sort of thrown off track because it's not invented yet, it's not created yet, it doesn't necessarily with other people.
That's every great success story is that. Is somebody sitting there just completely, oh my gosh, just they feel so lonely because they know they're driven to this idea, but it hasn't been done, or it hasn't been, those are the bravest, the ones, and that it is naysayers too. I think what you have to do is take into consideration what the source is. Is this someone who's a trusted person that's more like, hey, honey, I'm kind of worried about this idea. We may not be able to make our mortgage payment. You got to temper with that. And then there's always the a-hole that everything you've ever done, you really kind of have to look at it. Like, there's always in naysayers, there's generally some kind of either jealousy factor, and these are, again, usually the people that don't fit into the mold. You can't go to a cocktail party and tell them easily what you do sometimes. That makes people uncomfortable. So you have to, I think it all comes down to about really being super grounded and more of like, doing a lot of meditation and doing a lot of, you can tell I've been doing this spirit work with George Green because I'm all kinds of crazy about getting grounded and, getting into the, into your true thing. And then everything that's around you, you can just use your judgment like, what's the motive?
Yeah, and folks, she may not have told you, but she did meditate right before the show. So she's she's putting these things into practice. She's actually doing it.
I did it just to stop being so annoyed with today.
Well, it's unfortunate with all the computer issues that we're moving into Mercury Retrograde, which means we're going to have even more.
You know what? It's so interesting. So Julia Aspinwall, that was on my show last week, I'll segue just for a second. She gave some great advice. She does a lot of pranic work, which is so
nice.
good, by the way. Oh my God, this Grandmaster Cho. I call it Grandmaster Flash. Every time too. But
I do know who he is, though. I know what you're
right? See, it's like the is it 70s or 80s?
Yeah, I know both of them. I know Grandmaster Flash and
Grandmaster Cho. Yeah, but she talks a lot about that. You know, there's a great flip side to Mercury Retrograde, which is finishing a lot of unfinished things.
Yeah.
You know, really just prepping a prep work, and it's really about just planning on more time because shit's gonna break.
Yeah. Well, and then part of your story is the stuff that doesn't necessarily go according to plan. I mean, if everything was already planned out when you showed up, there wouldn't really be a story to tell.
So those are some of the best stories, I think. You know, the wrong left turn that turned into, why did I end up in this, you know, I ended up in this restaurant and I met, you know, this great person, that kind of thing. Those are fun.
Right. Jay Richardson says the worst naysayers are family, and I totally agree.
Dude, you are spot on.
Yep.
You are spot on with that comment. They really can be. They're the fearful one. They're fearful for a reason. You have to, you know, take it with a grain of salt for sure. And I'm sure you guys probably saw my Mother's Day, or I posted this Mother's Day thing about it not always being a happy time for some people with my story, and it really was more to reach out to people who also felt isolated. I mean, my story's kind of crazy, but you know, I felt like I wanted to get out. Like, here's why. You know, mine's, you know, but not everybody's is that nuts. But it did remind. I heard from so many people. I mean, a lot of people like that were like, "Whoa, I'm glad you said something." Because my family is crazy, and I think they're probably the ones too. They have these toxic ones of the families that are naysayers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and they're used to seeing you in a certain way, and it's scary for them when you change because then they feel like they have to.
Right, which
makes them really uncomfortable.
It does.
Which kind of leads right into Ronson A Burger's comment, who says you have lots of friends until you become successful, and then they throw tomatoes at you. Been there.
Yes, I think she is still there, but she may be a little bit frozen.
Oh, she is.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So let's just write her a quick note to let her know she's frozen. I'm not sure if she can see it, but I think in the bigger picture, when you're trying to sort of look at the story arc, right, of your life, I think it can be not only just enlightening to see where you've come from, and it really actually is a really clear guide of where you want to go next, because if you're listening along the way, you see...
Well, we made it 13 minutes.
Yay, she's back.
Well, I'll tell you, it just keeps saying Hangout stop. So I heard a lot of people say that on my Hangout today, that were mobile, that Hangouts just stops. So...
Okay, well, you are back. So basically, I would love to segue into you telling a little bit more about where you're going next. Because while you were gone, I basically said, like, every story has an arc. So you look at where you've been, then where you want to go. And you're doing some pretty interesting, cool stuff coming up. If you would like to share a little bit of insight about...
I will share.
Yeah, I would love to hear a little bit more about that and share that with the folks, the Thinkables.
Yeah, I love that title, by the way. That's just so clever.
Ron was fabulous. And what we did, Ron suggested that along with 4 or 5 other suggestions, and we put a poll out. And let the audience
I think it's
vote.
Fabulous. I like it a lot. I'm going to try and queue up my my tablet over here too, ladies. So just in case Ron was on, Ron had some great comments this morning. So can I just say thank you to him, because
he's lovely.
He's the man. He is. So, so my new things, you know, the Mia on the Go thing is that came up last year. You know, everybody. Yeah, I was laughing. I was telling you guys about my new webinar idea that came to me in the shower. The Mia on the Go, that one showed up in the shower. Like, it's just I'd love to hear everybody comment in the audience what where they get their ideas. where their head shuts up the most so that the good stuff can come in. But so that's a travel idea that, I turned 50 and then came up with the idea to go to Italy and made that happen. That was a lot of legwork. But so I love the idea of getting out there and traveling. I love the idea of a female out there and traveling. Yeah. Kind of putting a face to it, and not in a feminine sense per, like the feminist sense per way. I'm always feminine-ish, but just more of a like.
I like the ish.
Yeah, ish. Sometimes I get my coveralls on, you know what I'm saying? But I love the idea of travel. I'm going to Austin. I'm going to be hanging out with Ephod Cohen down there, and we're going to be checking out some places. So that's just more of the Mia on the go, and so I love that piece, the adventure piece, to show people like, look how fun this is. That's another storytelling. That's another version of storytelling.
Yeah, right? And you get to show people places where they can't necessarily go, and that's really awesome too.
Or where they should go.
Yes, or where they should
That's
go.
What I do my blog post. It's like, the places you should go. The Mia Connect, I got cut off before I got to announce it today, but I am going to be shelving the show for a while. I was going to do it once a month, but honestly, I just kind of, again, bad boyfriend hangouts. I'm breaking
on the
up.
Carpet.
They just beat on the carpet, right? I'm going to get my spot out and just, take a break from it. I'll still be doing shows. So, but what I'm segueing into is more business development. So I'm doing basically the Tell Your Story is the name of the video product, because I've seen so many people put out these promotional videos that are just so painful.
Some of them are. Including some that I put out, when I was first starting.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm doing it more of like an interview style. Like, I love how Jimmy Fallon, like when he interviews, they end up putting out, after the interview, they'll put out these short, sexy little 2-minute quippy things, which is fun. So that's actually something that I am working with clients now and doing videos for them, and short, sharp, sexy, and just fun. And I'm coaching a lot of the people too, because a lot of times it's very hard to shorten what your message is, so that it's enough just to get them little in, and then you don't want to give the whole thing. So I have to coach them sometimes. I'm like, now you need to shut up so they can go do what you want them to do.
Well, I think it's also challenging to talk just to a video by yourself. Like, for me, it's so much easier when I'm engaged in conversation, because then stuff comes out naturally. But if I'm just sitting there trying to stare at a camera and say something, I become very, self-judgment. Like, a lot of judgment comes up, because it's like, well, that sounded terrible, and I got this going on, rather than, actually emoting anything.
Exactly. But the beauty that I'm loving about it, too, is that it's also not live. So when we do the recording, I've done that with a lot of clients too. We'll say it, and then I go, okay, honey, let me just ask you that again, and let's cut out that part, and let's do it again. And then I edit it into a pretty short little thing, and then I give them the raw footage as well if they want to turn it into something else. Michael Daniels is working with me on this too, actually.
Oh, nice.
Brother Michael Daniels.
So do you do a lot of the editing work yourself, or is that part of what he's helping you with?
He's helping me with that too. I do some of it. I break it down to the timestamp, and then we turn it into that too. So I have a couple, and then I'm actually doing blooper reels too. They're pretty fun. Pretty awesome.
They're awesome. I love that.
God, I love that. I posted one last week where my friend just F-bombed. And her company is a branding company, and I said, so tell me about that. And she just goes, oh. And Michael put the boop in with the thing over it, and it was just, we love bloopers.
Yeah.
Well, and I'd like to talk a little bit too about why it's so important to share your story in business, because obviously we're all trying to get people to connect with us, and telling your story, you can just get on there and write it, but I think it's so much more powerful when you can touch a lot of people in a variety of different media.
Oh, yeah, you see your face.
Style.
Yeah, you see the face, you see the story. I mean, a good story was we did a food and booze for a restaurant in Kamali where Nazim is, Brother Nazim. And the restaurant owners, it's this restaurant that the man had bought it. His wife was pregnant. He is killed in a car accident.
Oh,
the woman is just devastated, and 4 friends all got together and bought her out and ran it, and then one of the friend's sons is now running it, and oh my God, was he cute. Hello, cute little Italian. you do this, molto carino. But we got to interview him. I sound like such a let. You interview him, and like it's just this passed down thing. Like, you know, the friend, the guy's friends, and then the kids are taking that over, and it's their 10-year anniversary. You hear that story, and then you hear like, and then the recipes that they pass down. I mean, you want to go pay attention to a place like that. You love the story.
There's a little more heart in that, for sure, than just trying to like connect with like, hey, I saw your ad for this, you know, restaurant somewhere when I was walking by. It's just a total different evolution of connection, for sure.
I challenge everybody, just find a story in a lot of these places. I mean, even in you know, food, you know, chains and things like that, where somebody's, you know, bought, what is that called when you buy
franchise?
A franchise or something like that. Even that, somebody's got a story. I have to tell you, I went to this presentation yesterday, sort of last minute. My girlfriend invited me. It's a company, or it's an organization called Mi Casa here in Denver, and they do a lot of programs. They're a resource center for Latinos here in Denver and displaced families. And these women got up and told their story yesterday, and I was like, son of a bitch, my makeup. Because, I mean, I just was like, and I mean, I was fired up listening to them. This Latina woman had started her own insurance agency, and she's crushing it. And she got out from underneath a really abusive husband. Now, granted, she's not going to tell that story every time, but you just, I mean, you do get that, and you're like, man, everybody's got a reason why they're doing what they're doing. And I think more so now in the last 5 or 6 years.
Right. I think the big thing with video too is that, well, it's kind of like when I tell my story about today's visions to friends around here, they say, "Oh man, your eyes just light up. You're so excited." And when you tell your story, that comes out. You know, the passion.
Yeah, well, and you know, video is so accessible now, and it has been really for the last few years. You might as well use it to your advantage, and in a way that actually presents you at your story, you know, not even just how you show up as yourself, because that's what you want to be natural, but you know, you have a different opportunity to share the passions that you have, and that's what gets people to connect with you.
I think so.
That's what they love.
I think so. I do love, I mean, there's of course just an influx of all these crazy videos out there. There's Meerkat, Periscope, like, you know, like there's a little too much of that too, but the videos that I love are, I try and encourage people to, like, just, even if you just bust out your camera and are sitting and have this poignant moment, I think that really does it for people. I really do.
Yeah. Well, what would you say is one of the biggest challenges? Because obviously, if you've been starting to work with people, and even just all the people that you've had on your show, what would you think is like a stumbling block for people in finding that connection point with their passion?
And fear. I'd say fear of the unknown, fear of your story, fear of a fear of rejection. That people won't relate to you. You know, that is one of the number one things that humans love is really being related to or being understood or heard. Right. And I think I'd say it's just, you know, our fear of not making money, or so it's definitely you kind of have to dig and have some long nights. I think it's not always easy for me. It's also, they forget that this stuff is supposed to be fun.
Yes.
Oh, it is.
Exactly.
But
I'm just saying.
you know, either doing a live show like this or recording, that's technically public speaking, and public speaking is actually feared more than death.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'm a panic attack survivor, I should say. I should put it that way. I got diagnosed with a panic disorder in my early 20s. I had to go to college. It was debilitating for me, and I finally had to go to a doctor, and I was like, I gotta manhandle this mofo because this is affecting my lifestyle. I mean, I've suffered with it for 15, maybe 20 years, and finally then I wanted to do some public speaking, and I still suffer from it. Like, this is different for me, but definitely live speaking. It's conditional, but it is. Death is actually more welcomed.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I have the same challenge. Like, getting on video, I can handle when I'm having a conversation, but standing up in front of like a group of people and talking, that's a total different deal. It's like you're in the room, you feel the vibes, You're like it's
You
totally
do,
redeemable.
and it depends too. Like, I mean, here you can kind of hide things a little bit if your hands are shaking or something like that. But if you're giving a presentation and you don't have a podium, there's a lot of different variables to it. I still take beta blockers once in a while. That does help me.
Well, I think it's important for people to know that too, because you've been doing this for so long. They forget that there's a story about why you do what you do. They forget that there's this whole story behind how you've come to decide to do video and work on that stuff too.
I basically started because I love the fact that the first hangout I did, like Bob used to just get on the desk and just knock crap over, and I was like, I want to do a show where Bob Voss can get on the desk and cause trouble, you know.
So are there any other new kittens in your future, do you think, or are you going to?
You know, I'm holding up, but man, am I having a hard time with it, though. I miss kitties. I miss kitties a lot. I watched this video the other day where it was like a compilation of kitty purrs.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, I got such a buzz out of it. I miss them terribly. I really do. But I got little Miss Maggie, moo moo moo, down here. I'll show you. Hold on. There she is. You see her?
Yeah.
That's my fat old beagle.
She picked a very convenient napping spot.
she did. She's right over there. Mama took her for a walk beforehand to chill herself out, so she wouldn't bark. So well, not for a while because I'm going to travel. I'm going to be traveling. I am planning on going back to Italy in October for harvest.
Oh, fun!
I'm gonna be like Lucy. I love Lucy.
Get your feet in some grapes.
Yeah.
Well, Mia, you asked the Thinkables how they came up with their ideas, and we've had a lot of responses.
Good. Let me see. I'm going to go over and open it up. What'd they say?
Okay, so Mike John says, "Yep, I'm a shower thinker too."
Hi, Emmy. That's his name. That's his nickname, by the way. He's from my hometown.
Jeremy Murphy says, "My best ideas usually arrive when I'm running. Endorphins, meditating, or praying."
Nice. Did anybody say pooping?
No. Ronson A Burger said that his ideas come up at 3 a.m. when he wakes up.
Oh, I know that feeling, brother man.
Yeah. Bill Reese says his show up randomly at inconvenient times. Hey, Bill, I'm right there with you.
Hi, brother Bill.
And Jay Richardson says some of my best ideas have come around while sitting at the motorcycle rally.
Oh, good one. He might get a chicken dinner for that one.
Yeah.
Winner. That's a good one.
So Mia, when you're working with someone that's feeling a little bit of that fear come up, they got a little bit of a challenge, how do you sort of coach them through it or work with them so that they feel more comfortable when they're working with you?
I do that Cher scene in Moonstruck. Snap out of it. I'm kidding. I so understand it. Usually when they come to me, they're already ready to do the video, but I will say the banter thing is great. Let's use it with the shows, for instance. People are nervous, but one of the best feelings is when they are super nervous beforehand, and then we get them through the show, and they have such a good time, and then they've got that huge, just did a big line of Coke endorphin me feeling. And it's funny. I mean, they are buzzing. I don't know if you guys have had that with guests, if they haven't been on the show before, and they are they're just so delighted at how well they did. And I think, I just think that's wonderful. It's just more that you get them through that uncomfortable thing. I think I heard some fashion photographer talk about he will fake shoot a whole roll of film with a model if they're having a hard time, and then actually start using the film. This was obviously back when it was before digital, but do you know what I mean? The idea of you just sort of, I think you need to get about a third in the way, which is why I love the idea with these videos now, is that we just let them kind of stumble and goof around and maybe use them as a blooper if we need to.
Be mindful. You'll get to laugh in the future at what you're saying. So you might be scared, but then later laugh at it because it's in a blooper. And that's the best way to heal about it anyway.
It is. And then, if you just, again, that feeling that people get when they're like, oh, I did it, and they're just so excited. That's exciting to me. I love that. And they're all jacked up.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, and for the most part, when you're working with folks, do you have them? What would your recommendation be for a video? Because I know we were talking about this a little bit the other day. I think there's obviously some general tips that you can give to folks about how to, create a good video. Because I think that's what you wanted to share some of those.
Sure. I mean, I think you need to find your medium. So if it's going to be, you know, outside, obviously you need to really get, ooh, I don't know. Sorry about that. That was Facebook. Ba-ting! I don't know if you guys could hear that. But I'd say find the best, you know, comfortable spot for you, but then also make sure, yes, you want it to be unscripted, but if you're holding your phone and it's like this, that's not cool, you know, or if it's, you know, vertical or sideways. So I think, yeah, just find the spot that you're most comfortable with. And then if you're going to do interviews, you want to find the most comfortable type. That could be a live interview, that could be a hangout interview, that could be you know, an man on the street kind of interview type of thing. So you find what works well for you. So that's what I'm teaching people in my new webinar, which that's where I came up with a new name. I told you guys about it. It's how to give good interview and get good interview.
I'm going to definitely have to watch that one.
So if they, from what I've heard you saying before, that people are fairly clear on what they want to talk to you about or what they want to talk to you about on video when they connect with you, but what about those folks that are sort of on the fence? Do you kind of help them, you know, guide them with their key messaging a little bit, or how do you?
Oh, definitely. You know, it's been the most fun. Generally, I work with people who are pretty nailed down with their brand, and if they're not, I send them to my friend Ellen, and she actually did a video with me too. We worked client to client type of thing. Her company is called Super Tight Branding. It's pretty funny. I love it. She said, get your message super tight. But that's what I do with people. I usually spend some time with them beforehand, because I've had some people actually come up with a completely different slant on what they want to do. And they sit and they think about it for a little bit. So I think sometimes when you get people to just sit and kind of get into that uncomfortable place of talking about it, sometimes something completely different will come up. And I was working with a gal that's she's not a chronic healer, but she's an empath. And she was going to do a whole video about her work, and then she realized, and I know she's going to put this out there, so I'm not telling her story, but that she wants to actually work more with parents who have addicted children. Wow. And that can't necessarily afford these, you know, super expensive things. Her son was a heroin addict, and they've worked together on this empath plane of healing. And she literally, we talked, and then the next day, and I could feel it because I'm an empath, so I was kind of like, something's off, but let's just keep working on it. And it wasn't coming out well. And then we switched gears.
So do you recommend like interview styles over scripted? I have trouble with scripts. I read them and it sounds like a canned commercial.
Yeah, that's the problem, though. I've seen some, too. That's actually what inspired me to do this, because I've seen some where they kind of are looking off into the distance type of thing, and sometimes they can do them really well, and other times you can just hear this, like, reading cadence to it. Yeah. So for me personally, I mean, that's just my style. I feel like what I love to do is bring out something really fun in someone, and then, you know, get them to tell your story. That's why it's called that. So, but I would love, the one piece of advice I'll jump in, I would say, is just take your phone and start recording yourself telling your story. See what comes up. But most people can't rewatch it. I will say that. That's number 3 fear, watching yourself on camera.
That's mine. I don't watch anything I've been in, which may sound terrible, but I'm kind of like, yeah, I know if there's a reason I need to, probably to improve my hand talking, something like that.
I will say you should, but the first couple times it is cringeworthy, so maybe have some cocktails. I don't know.
I don't know. It's cringeworthy. I do my lessons learned after every single video I get.
Me too.
And
that's why I do my own.
I cringe.
Yeah. Me too. I just tough it out.
Booze for the cringing as you're going through your video.
Well, you grow.
Whatever you
know, over time it does get better.
I'll probably watch this and cringe because I can't see anything, so I'm sure I'm making funny faces. And I don't think I picked my nose, though. I'm feeling pretty good about that.
That's always a good flag on the end of the video right there. I didn't pick my nose.
That's for the low achievers. Yeah. When you want to feel good about yourself, well, I didn't pick my nose.
Yeah, you have to have a low bar sometimes just to get that momentum going.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because I do feel that there's a sense of that, just that comfort that you have to have within who you are when you're on video. I mean, it doesn't mean you're not scared, but you have to know that you're in there, right? You have to have that confidence that you're in there, and you know, Mia will help draw it out, or someone else that you're working with will help draw it out. You got to know it's in there.
Yeah, and I think that's the piece of advice I always gave a lot of people when I first started my shows, is when I used to just try to make it really serious and like informative. Yeah, that didn't go over well. Like, it was just not me. It wasn't fun.
Well, which glasses are the serious glasses? Because I know you have lots of pairs. I don't know if there's like a special pair that's serious glasses.
These are kind of fun. I do like these. These
are
good.
really fun.
These are super fun. I also like these. These are also, you know.
Oh, we lost her.
No!
Oh, no! Okay, so while we're waiting on her to come back, I need to know if Ronson A Burger is still in the audience. If you are, can you shout out and let me know?
I love Jay Richardson's comment here. Just be yourself and have a shot of moonshine. That sounds like a good idea.
Oh, Mia's back.
Well, let's see how long it lasts on this tablet. I had it ready.
All right.
Well, to let you know, Mia, I have done a shout out and invited Ronson A Burger to join because I have a question I want to ask him and I want him to answer online or on air. So,
he may be hiding. We're not sure.
Yeah.
So, since I know that we've been on for a little about over half. Oh, yeah, there he is. Awesome.
Hey. Hi, Ron.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can.
Yeah, well, I'm still on vacation, and hi, Mia. And, I'm in a weird position here because I'm laying in bed here.
You getting back pain?
Oh.
Well,
I want him to answer online.
we have an echo back from somebody.
Yeah, I think it's just delayed. Since I've been on for a little about over half. So it's a little bit of a delay there.
Okay. While we have all that going on, Ron, you won your name was chosen, the Thinkables, and I said I was going to give you a gift certificate either to Fine Art America or to Amazon, and I never got an answer. So which one do you want?
Well, I want him to answer online.
I'm not sure if you can hear. Yeah, I think it's
I don't know.
Ron's got the show going still. He needs to.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah. It's like us hearing it. He's hearing us in the background.
Ron's still watching the show, actually. I'm sorry, you guys. I just know it because I've had guests come on. I'm like, oh, honey, you got to turn us. It's like when you come on the radio and you still have the radio.
Yeah, well, maybe at least now he knows he can message you with his answer. Yeah. But to kind of do a sum up there, I know that when you're kind of embarking on your I think I really need to do video. Like you're saying, I know this is something I need for my business, but I'm afraid. What are some tips or just some things that you would think that people need to kind of get together before they get to someone like you?
Actually, well, definitely get your guys. I just know sharp. I'm like, oh, honey, you got to. Essentially, you come on the radio and you see it. Ron, you got to turn the on.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. Now, what was your question? Because on the computer, I lost the connection, so I got on my phone.
You're on mute, Arizona.
I might be having a problem with connections here because I'm not at a good spot. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but Arizona's on mute for some reason. There you go.
There we go. That's what you were saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the Mia factor.
The Thinkables was your idea. So I just wanted to know, and I said, I asked you whether or not which gift certificate you wanted, was Amazon or Fine Art America.
You know what I'd like to do, Arizona? If you if you didn't get the gift certificate yet, I would like to take that money and pass it on to a charity of your choice.
Oh. This is why we're on. Because he's kind of awesome sauce.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's part of the way I think. I didn't have it before. I don't need it now, and there's people out there who need it. So pick a charity, Arizona, and pass it on.
I love him.
Yeah,
I do too.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Okay, now we have another question from the audience. Jeremy Murphy wants to know, how long are the biz development videos, and what's the attention span of the intended audience? A few minutes?
Oh, super short, Jeremy. That's right now the ones I have on my YouTube channel are, the longest one I have is Brian Kramer. I kind of let him have a little lead because he's Brian Kramer and I just adore him. But so his is about 6 or 7 minutes. I'm really trying to get people down to, with the bumpers and the kind of lead in, between a 3 to 5 minute video at the most.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, and the advice that I give people is that when you are going, so what I'll do is I'll ask them the question, and I ask them to break it up into, oh gosh, like minute and a half little sound bites. I let them do 4 or 5, choose my favorite, and then I give them the video. But I'd say, like, every time after everything you say, you literally feel like, you want to feel like you should just drop the mic, walk off the stage.
Do your George Costanza.
I know. Exactly. Drop mic, walk off. So that's the best advice. So come up with those sound bites. Those I use the word sexy, but you know the context I'm using it. Is really these just like quotable sound bites that just bring people in. It doesn't have to explain how you do it. It's the why.
Well, then the more that they can think about that before they show up and work with you, or what are some other tips and things that they should do before they show up?
Well, I think you always have to have, you know, that sort of business plan mission statement. So you have to have 2 things to me. You have to have the mission statement of what the mission of the company is, and then your big why. And a lot of times that or, you know, my father had cancer, and I'd never see a family that didn't have a place to stay during cancer treatment. Just pulling this here, but you know, things like that. I think you just come up with a lot of your. I think actually, honestly, it's coming up with your personal stories. Your business comes into play from that. Really is.
Yeah, it's sort of like your passion is led, and then the business kind of is weaving into that part.
It's just a byproduct of it. It's the birthing. That's the baby of it. Yeah, because then your passion could turn into a couple different babies.
Right.
That's true.
Well, that's what makes it more fun. I mean, sometimes when you got a lot of inspiration going on, if you try to fit everything into one business, it doesn't work anyway. It just doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah. See, you can walk off the stage with that. Well,
well, I think our time is about up. Mia, do you have any last minute things you'd like to say? I'm sure most of our audience knows how to contact with you, but maybe you would. I agree with you.
I'm promoting myself with my love for rails. You know, you guys, I definitely think just it's so cliched, but find your passion and just be okay with it. I mean, I think that just we all have to drop that fear factor or the shame factor.
Yep.
That's it.
Absolutely. I would agree with that 100%. And don't be afraid to write it out. Write it out on paper first if that helps you get there. Just do something to try to start getting it out and then fine-tuning stuff.
I will say I don't write things out because I can't stand to write, so that's why I started doing video.
Another factor that can play into it is guilt. You know, kids, you know, maybe their parents sent them to college and they ended up doing a total 360 on what they studied. And so guilt can also play into it.
Yeah, it definitely can. So keep those emotions in check. Just notice when they show up. That's the only thing you can do. Just say, hey, I'm feeling crappy today. I noticed that.
Yeah.
Let's pop it up for me. But I mean, I think that in the bigger picture, Mia, you're doing great stuff. I think that what you're bringing to the table in terms of just your experience and your knowledge and your passion is going to make people excited to tell their story. I mean, you're just feeding the passion for someone else, and it's great that you're doing that. And I'm really excited because I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Oh, that makes me happy. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
That's what I would love is for people to tell their story. I think anytime you do, there's always going to be someone it resonates for. That's just the only part. You don't know who it's going to be and how.
That's true.
Exactly. Well, tell people when they can start finding your services available, or read a little bit more about them. Tell us some dates and times, maybe some other info.
If you're happy, my website is what you need to do, which is the Mia. So,
all right.
And I'll be sending out newsletters on that too, or just watch me on Google Plus and Twitter's the Mia Connect, and it's Mia Voss on Google Plus. But good question. It's actually happening now. The webinar is going to happen in the next couple weeks. So.
Oh, perfect. It's a great timing then.
Yeah, I think so.
That's very cool. All right. Well, then I guess on that note, we are going to say goodbye. Ron, thank you so much for showing up, and you're just awesome. Awesome sauce.
Yes.
That's for Ron. He gets up.
So, I wish everyone a great Friday. I'm going to go get my wine.
That sounds like a great idea.
I'll stay on with you. Green room.
I will talk with y'all later. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Great Friday.
Bye.